They are fueled by a ring rivalry that began generations ago.
Mexico, Puerto Rico.
A passion that pumps through their hearts.
Once again for a world title.
And July 26th, their blood will be added to the pantheon of their country's boxing greats. In the middle of the Caribbean Sea, Puerto Rico's newest boxing icon, Miguel Cotto, prepares for his latest challenge.
In Cotto, it feels like you're watching a dispassionate boxing machine. It's like a Terminator.
Cotto looking for the kill. Knockout!
26 knockouts in his 32 wins. The undefeated Cotto has taken on all comers on his way to the welterweight crown. But now, a new nemesis has arisen from another historic boxing hotbed. A relentless brawler from Mexico, Antonio Margarito.
There's not a whole lot of polish with Margarito. His nickname is the Tijuana Tornado, and that's how he fights. He's a whirlwind.
Once a 15-year-old who bravely fought men twice his age, now this Mexican warrior has grown into a major force in the welterweight division.
What you say is, Floyd Mayweather Jr. turned down $8 million to fight this guy, and that piques people's interest.
This is the story of one of 2008's most anticipated fights. The story of one of the sport's best, looking to stake his claim as the premier boxer on the planet.
Cotto is on the verge of becoming the kind of superstar that the general public recognizes.
But it's also the tale of a fighter who's worked long and hard for a chance to shine in the brightest of spotlights.
This is the opportunity that he's wanted. A big-time fight with a big-time champion in a big-time arena. Well, guess what? He's got it.
This is the countdown to Cotto Margarito. In boxing, April 12, 2008 was a night that pointed towards the future.
Defend yourselves at all times.
Miguel Cotto and Antonio Margarito fighting separate opponents back-to-back in Atlantic City.
What's the old kind of theory in boxing? If you want to make a fight bigger, you put the two potential combatants in on the same card against opponents who are there to make them look good.
In a rematch of a 2005 bout, Margarito knocked out Kermit Cintron in 6 rounds.
Tremendous left-hand shot to the body.
Both guys delivered, man, and they delivered big time.
Miguel Cotto doesn't just beat you, he beats you up.
Next up was Cotto, who stopped Alfonso Gomez in 5 lopsided rounds.
And they looked absolutely sensational, and it just set the stage for their matchup in July.
It's a matchup that's about far more than welterweight supremacy. Cotto Margarito also represents another chapter in the saga of 2 passionate boxing hotbeds with a shared and storied past.
Puerto Rican fight fans are very proud because from this tiny little island, you have some fantastic fighters throughout history.
Carlos Ortiz, Wilfredo Gomez, Wilfred Benitez, Felix Trinidad. You look at Mexico's history, you have Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez, Marco Antonio Barrera, and Eric Morales. They have a lot of Hall of Famers between them. The Mexico-Puerto Rico rivalry is the most intense boxing rivalry between any 2 nations.
The rivalry has produced many classic ring battles over the years. Wilfredo Gomez versus Carlos Zarate in 1978. Gomez versus Salvador Sanchez in 1981. The list of unforgettable matchups goes on.
It's a long tradition that Mexicans and Puerto Ricans fight some of the greatest fights because of the mentality and the warrior concept of those 2 countries.
They not only represent themselves as athletes, they also carry a whole country behind them.
The difference in terms of what Mexico and Puerto Rico demand of their fighters is, in Puerto Rico, you're allowed to box a little bit more. Cotto showed against Mosley that he can box, and that does not alienate Puerto Rican fight fans.
Generally speaking, you see a Mexican in the ring, he's going to be coming straight ahead. He wants to throw a lot of punches, mix it up. If you were going to put a photograph of the prototypical Mexican fighter in a magazine, there might very well be a photograph of Antonio Margarito. Cotto Margarito has got all the ingredients to make a classic Mexico versus Puerto Rican rival fight.
Every Mexican fighter knows that he's following in the footsteps of so many others who preceded him. Every great Puerto Rican fighter knows that he's competing now against the legacy of all the great Puerto Rican fighters who have preceded him. And now, Cotto has a chance to become the greatest Puerto Rican fighter of them all.
20 miles south of the picturesque coastline of San Juan, Puerto Rico, lies the small town of Caguas. As the sun rises to begin the Caribbean morning, one of boxing's best fighters is already on a local road. Miguel Cotto's plan as he prepares for this fight is simple: train hard, fight hard. Cotto is undefeated and a two-time world champion. His dedication to the craft, though, began long before he turned professional in 2001.
Cotto was a great amateur. He was a 2000 Olympian. He has been brought up expertly.
He has progressed incredibly fast from the time he turned professional to the time he was fighting serious fighters.
He has a visible determination and a compelling style of fighting that dyed-in-the-wool boxing fans deeply appreciate.
Nosotros, aquí está el campeón de campeones, Miguel Cotto.
Nowhere is he more appreciated than at home. Following victories in 2007 over Zab Judah and Shane Mosley, his hero status has grown tremendously over the past year. But for all his own success in the ring, Cotto has still found it difficult to escape the shadow of the beloved legend who preceded him.
Trinidad is a tough act to follow in terms of generating the kind of love among the boxing public.
I can see why people want to love Trinidad more. He has a natural warmth that communicates to all Puerto Ricans all at once. And Miguel, by contrast, seems on the surface almost taciturn and remote.
Cotto's personality is extremely straightforward and serious.
And that's the perception everyone has of him, a very serious guy. Doesn't smile much, but he's completely the opposite when he's away from the boxing.
Miguel is a shy person, you know. He's a very shy person.
He smiles, but you have to know him.
He's always making jokes, making some weird things, planning some things to do to you.
Given his public image, it would certainly surprise those who think they know Cotto that life within his inner circle is anything but reserved.
En verdad, la broma de nosotros es al extremo. No todo el mundo puede soportar eso. Solamente nosotros que nos conocemos, pues bromeamos así. No, créeme que la pasamos súper bien.
It's an adventure every day here.
Tú no sabes quién te va a hacer algo. Entonces tú tienes que estar a la tensión de que quién va a venir.
It's always an adventure in that house with those guys. You never know what's going to happen. Each day. Okay, right?
You have to be ready. You have to have two eyes on your back because they're going to do something to you.
The environment his friends provide for him is an important part of his success in the ring.
I didn't try to talk about boxing, you know, because it's my job. They keep my mind out of the boxing team the whole day, you know?
Yeah, we know that we keep him, you know, relaxed. We keep him chill. And, you know, the good thing that he can trust us.
You love me? Love you too. Love you too.
3,300 miles away in East Los Angeles, storm warnings have been frequent this summer as the fighter they call the Tijuana Tornado trains for the biggest fight of his career. It's been a long journey for Mexico's Antonio Margarito, who was actually born in nearby Torrance, California.
Mi madre me dijo que cuando yo tenía la edad de 2 años me llevó para Tijuana y pues yo ahí crecí, ¿no? Ahí crecí, inclusive todavía vivo en Tijuana.
Margarito was working class. He did not grow up with a lot of money. He came from a big family, a hard-working family, but they lived in a part of Tijuana that is very rough.
People like to say that Tijuana's El Norte is one of the roughest neighborhoods in the Western world. You cannot go there without being at least a little bit startled at the degree to which the third world portrays itself.
I know there are childhood friends of his that were lured into that lifestyle, that street culture, And Margarito never was, and I think boxing is a big part of that.
Yo empecé a la edad de 8 años. Mi papá le gustaba el boxeo. Él me llevaba a funciones de box cuando yo estaba chiquito. Fue como me empezó a gustar. Mi papá me mencionó que si quería, que si me gustaría ser boxeador, y yo le dije que sí.
During those years in boxing-crazed Mexico, there was no bigger star than Julio Cesar Chavez. And a chance encounter with the legend would fuel 9-year-old Antonio's passion even more.
Mi papá me llevó a una función de boxeo en Tijuana. Bajamos mi hermano y yo y sí, logramos tomarnos una foto y imagínate, feliz de la vida de tomarme una foto con mi ídolo. Y esa foto la guardo, esa foto está conmigo.
Margarito's dreams of following in his idol's footsteps met harsh reality when he turned pro at 15, suffering 3 defeats in his first 12 fights.
He got thrown to the wolves. And I don't care how good you are, if you're still in the learning process and you're fighting grown men, you might get embarrassed. And that's what happened to Antonio Margarito early on. He learned his lessons the hardest possible way.
But as Margarito grew, so did his win total. His career was on the upswing when tragic news came the night before a fight in 1999. His brother Manuel had been shot and killed in an apparent burglary back home in Tijuana.
Bueno, yo de mi hermano siempre andamos juntos, él y yo. Desde niños, desde que íbamos a pelear, íbamos al gimnasio porque pues él también era boxeador. Me acuerdo que la pelea fue un viernes y me avisaron un jueves, ya era en la noche.
I say, Tony, something bad happened, Tony. Your brother Manuel, he passed away. I say, who? My brother is dead? I say, Tony, I just got to cancel this fight. You're not going to fight like this, with this emotional thing.
Decidí pelear porque siempre andaba conmigo él y decidí brindarle la pelea. Y por eso lo hice.
Tony came out so strong, so mad, and he came out like a tiger, like a lion. He's stepping on 6 rounds.
Todo salió bien, gané la pelea. Mi cuerpo estaba ahí, pero mi mente no estaba. Y pues, mi hermano nunca lo voy a olvidar, ¿no? Quisiera que viviera él para saber, para que supiera él todo lo que he logrado.
Back in Puerto Rico, family is important also to Miguel Cotto, who surrounds himself with relatives in the gym. He works alongside his 6-year-old son, Miguel Jr., and is trained by his uncle, Evangelista. Cotto's other children are also frequent visitors to camp, as is his father, Miguel Sr., who lives just a few minutes away.
It's important for me to see my kids every day. I'm training for a fight on July 26th, but I'm here for whatever they need.
Cotto has 4 children. He's currently separated from his wife, Melissa, but says they remain on friendly terms, which helps Cotto continue to fulfill what he says is his most important goal.
I'm not the best husband, but I'm pretty sure of something. I'm the best dad.
Miguel's an excellent dad. Miguel is the kind of dad that he always has to have his children on his side. You see, Junior, his little kid, the Junior, he's always with him. His true love are those 4 kids. He lives for them.
But for all the warmth between Cotto and his children, his relationship with his uncle and trainer has not always been so simple. They've been working together since Miguel was 11, and rumblings in the press have indicated tension in the Baroa gym. Rumblings neither fighter nor trainer denies.
It's not a secret. I have problems with my trainer.
Fuera, pues, prácticamente, pues, Miguel ha hecho su vida, pero te puedo hablar de un tiempo atrás, pues, la relación era bien estrecha. Pues, obviamente, él ha hecho su vida y es poco lo que compartimos cuando estamos fuera de aquí del gimnasio.
The relationship between Evangelista Cotto and Miguel is very cold. They don't talk too much. I've seen Evangelista in the gym, but he doesn't even talk to his nephew. It seems like Miguel just trains by himself, and he's just there to overlook how things are going.
Yo creo que la prensa pues se ha desenfocado un poco de lo que en realidad pues el rol que a ellos les corresponde, que es seguir la carrera de Miguel, y pues se han ido a otras cosas personales que en realidad pues ellos ven cosas donde no las hay.
But there was plenty for the boxing world to see in May 2007, when Cotto's brother Jose, also trained by his uncle, fought for a world title. Following the 9th round, Evangelista and Jose had a disagreement, and things quickly escalated into an altercation, forcing Miguel to intervene.
That started a downhill relationship between us. It was not good since then.
Ya eso es un suceso que pasó. Ya yo creo que no amerita nada mencionarlo. Yo creo que, pues, no sé, estamos muy bien, que es lo importante.
Realmente, pues, ellos están de acuerdo en unas cosas y en otras no, y las que no están de acuerdo, pues, como personas normales, pues las discuten y hasta que se llega a un acuerdo.
As the fight draws near, the Cottos say all their focus is on Margarito, and their track record indicates they are capable of setting tensions aside for big fights.
This is a guy who has pretty steadily improved from fight to fight to fight. In 2007, he beat Shane Mosley and Zab Judah. Whatever is the reason for the fiery moments in their relationship, it sure as hell hadn't gotten in the way of a constant improvement in the fighter.
Los Angeles is not a place to go for peace and quiet. Neither is a boxing gym. And Antonio Margarito's trainer, Javier Capetillo, does his best to fit in and keep up with the noise.
Capetillo, I call him the general, because he's like a Mexican Patton. Whether it's in the gym or running with his fighters,
Vámonos, mi champion, vámonos, vámonos, vámonos.
he's barking orders all the time.
Vamos a ver quién no puede. Van, 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 van.
Bueno, mira, mi estilo de entrenamiento mío es de un trabajo, tal vez quizás estilo militar. El estilo mío es pelear, atacar, defenderte, y el acondicionamiento físico es para mí uno de los factores más importantes que hay.
Capetillo's a great motivator. He's a great conditioner. He's not a strategist. His whole philosophy is, I'm going to take you to hell in training camp, and then you're going to give your opponent hell once the bell rings.
Y trata de que yo saque más golpes todavía. Yo a sacar más golpes aquí en el gimnasio, la pelea se hace más fácil.
Margarito and Capetillo met nearly a decade ago. Since then, their relationship has grown far beyond the gym.
They clicked right from the beginning. They became real good friends. You could almost say it was a father-son relationship. It's very close to that.
Definitivamente, ese es el cariño que yo le tengo a él, y yo, como ser humano, detecto el cariño que él me tiene a mí.
Le agarré un cariño como a un padre. Él me ha dado muchos consejos y en verdad lo quiero mucho, aparte de que es un súper entrenador.
Yo trato de cuidarlo. Nadie le puede hacer un daño a él porque es como algo especial para mí.
Today, another person close to Margarito visits camp. A little bit of home coming north to LA. Antonio's wife, Michelle, has made the 3-hour drive from Tijuana to see her husband.
Lo conocí en la escuela, cuando estábamos en la secundaria.
Yo me le declaré a ella 3 veces, pero al fin de cuentas me hizo caso y siempre consigo lo que quiero.
There's times that Antonio's here training and she has to stay in Mexico for whatever reason, and we do look for her to come because we see that he needs her.
Que ella es la que me hace fuerte. Pues me siento a gusto que esté siempre conmigo, ¿verdad?
And as the biggest fight of his career approaches, both husband and wife know just how important the results of July 26th will be.
Él sabe que dependiendo de esta pelea está su futuro, nuestro futuro también, no nada más el de él.
Sí estoy ansioso porque se haga esta pelea ya, porque pues es mi consagración, ganándole a Cotto va a cambiar todo, ¿no? Tanto pues que había pedido una pelea de esta magnitud pues ahora que se realizó tengo que aprovecharla.
Miguel Cotto is more than willing to match his foe's determination, enduring a punishing routine each day as the Margarito fight approaches.
Generally we wake up about 4:30, be at the track by 5, do our run. By mid-afternoon we do his boxing workouts, and then 3 days of the week after that we'll come over here and do our strength stuff.
I'm going to be prepared for anything Margarito can bring me this night.
In his days as a 140-pound champion, training camp was often used only to make weight, rather than prepare for his opponent.
Cotto clearly should not have been a junior welterweight towards the end. It seemed obvious that the weight loss in order to make 140 was hurting him.
Era bien dificultoso, o sea, él entrenaba para hacer el peso y no dejaba nada para lo de la pelea.
His struggles with weight led to problems in the ring. In 2005, he was wobbled by DeMarcus Corley.
Huge punch! Corley has hurt Cotto! Miguel Cotto's in trouble and is holding on!
And months later, he was knocked down for the first time against Ricardo Torres.
And down goes Miguel Cotto!
Ultimately, Cotto was victorious in both fights.
Miguel Cotto survives a life and death challenge.
But he heeded the warning signs. And in 2006, moved up to the welterweight division. Conditioning coach Phil Landman was then brought into camp with a clear mission: make Cotto into a 147-pound champion.
140 is not his natural weight. 147, I say, is a lot more natural for him. We come into the weight very easily at 147. To get down to 140, he was absolutely starving and dehydrating himself to get to that weight.
In his 147-pound debut, he destroyed Carlos Quintana and captured a title. Miguel Cotto had arrived in the welterweight division.
He's like, I'm here to make noise. You know, you're going to have to deal with me. And he went out there and he took a very, very quality opponent and just laid waste to him.
2007 would be Cotto's most impressive year yet. In June, he knocked out former champion Zab Judah in front of a sold-out crowd at Madison Square Garden.
Just an absolutely electric night. And again, Cotto took apart a really quality opponent.
You really saw where a fighter, even of Zab's level, which is quite high, is completely out of his depth when confronted with a fighter as well-rounded as Miguel Cotto.
Cotto followed that victory up 5 months later with the biggest win of his career over future Hall of Famer and 3-time world champion Shane Mosley.
The biggest thing, in my opinion, was late in the fight. He was actually the one that was outboxing Mosley.
Cotto showing some versatility we've yet to see from him in his professional career.
Basically doing the sort of things that have made Mosley such a top boxer for so long.
After watching him win a close but clear decision against Shane Mosley, you had to think to yourself, exactly how do you beat Miguel Cotto?
Miguel Cotto, desde que firmó la pelea, pues ya está metido, y ya cuando sea el día 26 de julio, cuando estemos arriba del ring, se va a meter con el mejor.
For Margarito, this is everything he's wanted. You know, him and his handlers talked about him being the most avoided fighter in the world.
If you're somebody who wants to minimize risk, you don't fight Antonio Margarito. Shane Mosley is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Floyd Mayweather, arguably the #1 fighter, pound for pound. Both these guys turned down fights with Antonio Margarito.
Here were two of the best fighters in the world, and they seemed to be saying, not that guy.
Margarito no es un títere o un juego arriba de un ring, porque aquí no va a haber juego. De que no me toques porque se me cae el maquillaje. No, no, señor. Este es pelear aquí.
Last year, it looked like Margarito would finally get his chance against one of the world's best. But his first opportunity to fight Miguel Cotto was derailed when Margarito chose to fight his mandatory challenger Paul Williams, or be stripped of his welterweight title.
Yo hice eso porque a mí me costó mucho en agarrar el título mundial, y yo no lo iba a dejar en la mesa.
Paul Williams, 6'2", at least, a southpaw. He's undefeated. The kind of guy you don't fight when you have a $1 million fight against a bona fide star in Miguel Cotto.
Hard left hand inside by Williams. Big left hand snaps Margarito's head back. If Margarito loses, His date with Miguel Cotto goes down the drain.
He started too slowly, didn't really get it cranked up until the middle rounds.
Margarito lands two searing straight right hands. Margarito thinks he's done some damage.
But it was too little too late, and he lost that fight. And really, he was in danger of being brushed to the side. I mean, he was almost journeyman status.
4 months later, Margarito showed he quickly learned a lesson from the loss to Williams.
Margarito said after the Williams fight, I have to start faster. And sure enough, Golden Johnson fight, I think he started fast enough, 1-round blitzkrieg.
That was followed by the April 12th demolition of Kermit Cintron.
Margarito may have just punched his way back into the picture.
What a show!
Now, Margarito's rise from despair and then tragedy is nearly complete as the fight he's waited for his entire career approaches.
Cuando me hice profesional era un niño, tenía la edad de 15 años. Volteo para atrás y todo el sacrificio que me ha costado llegar hasta este momento y derrotando a Miguel Cotto, Antonio Margarito crece.
This guy is special. This is a guy who's never going to quit. This is a guy who is going to give anybody hell because of his attitude and because of how hard he works on fight night.
An empty boxing ring offers infinite possibilities. On July 26th, boxing will welcome those long-awaited possibilities to this ring in Las Vegas. There, two of the sport's most feared and fearless fighters will renew their nation's storied boxing rivalry and do battle in one of the most highly anticipated bouts of the year.
A victory over Antonio Margarito makes Cotto a strong contender for #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
This is no doubt the biggest fight of Antonio Margarito's career.
I wouldn't want to be Cotto. I would not want to be the guy in with Margarito on the night that Margarito feels like he has finally arrived.
The game plan for Miguel Cotto is not to get too macho. He has to show that ring intelligence.
He'll be the boxer, but he ain't running. You know, Cotto's right there.
The game plan for Antonio Margarito, just be Antonio Margarito. Be a tornado.
Keep on trucking. No matter what's happening, keep touching Cotto, keep your hands moving.
These are guys who are willing to get hit for the opportunity to hit you back. Every punch that is thrown in this fight will be thrown with the intent of sheer mayhem.
You can make one fight in boxing and only one. I would say Cotto Margarito. This is the best fight that can be made.
Live July 26th